I still remember the last time I saw them, a storm of laughter and scorn, drowning out the last remnants of my dignity. That night they crowded around the dinner table, eyes gleaming with derision as I, trembling but resolute, laid out my latest findings on the strange, otherworldly signals I had intersected. "You are going to ruin us, you know that?" my father spat, his voice a jagged edge of anger. "You're chasing ghosts, and it's going to cost you your mind." They called it a ridiculous obsession, a delusion. My mother even wept, begging me to see reason, to abandon this insanity before it consumed me entirely. But what did they know? I was already consumed. I had been stripped of my honor, expelled from the Navy for sounding alarms over hallucinations at sea. I was a pariah, and my family's ridicule was the final nail in my coffin. But I persisted. The whispers of the abyss beckoned me, and I dove deeper into the dark waters of paranormal signal research. I spent years alone in a crumbling seaside shack, mapping cursed frequencies and haunted architectures, unraveling the threads of auditory horrors that gripped the world. I became a ghost in my own life, drifting through the shadows, but the more I listened, the clearer the signals became. I unearthed truths hidden beneath the veneer of sanity, truths the world feared but could not ignore. Years passed, and I emerged from my self-imposed exile, no longer a disgraced naval operator, but a celebrated researcher. My name was whispered among the curious and the terrified alike, a warning to those who dared mock the unknown. I had conquered what they deemed madness, but with that victory came a heavy price, a crown of shadows that clung to me like a second skin. Returning home was a bitter pill. I stood outside the house I had grown up in, its once warm facade now a mausoleum. My heart raced as I approached the front door. Memories flooding back, family dinners, laughter, the echo of my younger self who had dared to dream. As I crossed the threshold, I felt the weight of their incredulity wash over me. They were gathered in the living room, their expressions a mix of disbelief and wariness. "Look who it is," my sister said, her voice laced with a false sweetness. "The ghost hunter has come home." The laughter that followed felt like knives piercing my skin, but I stood tall, a dark resolve coursing through me. They had mocked me, but I had survived the abyss. "I'm not here for your approval," I said, my voice steady. "I'm here to show you what you mocked, to show you what really lies beneath the surface." In the days that followed, I shared my research, the recordings of the anomalous frequencies that had haunted me for years. They scoffed, rolled their eyes, but I pressed on. I had brought with me a device, one that could capture the very essence of those signals. I needed them to witness the truth. The horrors I had faced were no longer just mine. They belonged to everyone. The night of the demonstration was heavy with anticipation. We gathered in the dimly lit living room, the air thick with skepticism. I switched on the device, and a low hum filled the space. The lights flickered, shadows danced, and the temperature plummeted. My family shifted uneasily, exchanging glances laced with doubt. Then it happened. The room erupted into chaos as the device began to resonate with a voice that was both beautiful and terrifying. It whispered secrets of the deep, of ships lost to the void, of souls trapped in a purgatory of their own making. It echoed the very fears I had faced, the horrors that had clawed at my sanity for years. "Please, stop it," my mother cried, her face drained of color. "This isn't funny." But the voice only grew louder, more insistent, clawing at the edges of their disbelief. Suddenly, the lights burst, plunging us into darkness. Panic erupted. My sister screamed as something cold brushed past her, a phantom of the abyss I had dared to confront. The shadows writhed, coalescing into figures, a manifestation of the very fears they had dismissed. "Do you see?" I shouted over the cacophony, my heart racing. "This is what I faced. This is what you mocked." The air was thick with dread, the weight of my family's disbelief now manifesting before them. They were no longer spectators. They were part of the horror, trapped in a realm they had once ridiculed. And then it stopped. The device fell silent, the shadows dissipating like fog under the morning sun. We stood in the aftermath, my family trembling, their faces pale and drawn. They had witnessed it, the very horrors they had dismissed, the dark truths I had unearthed. "I'm sorry," my father whispered, his voice barely audible. "We didn't believe you." A hollow ache filled me, a bittersweet victory. They had come to understand, but it was too late. The realization of their folly hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. I had exposed the darkness, but the shadows would never truly leave us. As I stepped back into the night, the echoes of their disbelief lingered like a haunting refrain. They would never see me as they once did. I was no longer their son, but a harbinger of the unknown. The cost of their ridicule had been steep, and now they too would bear the weight of the abyss. In the end, I had survived what they could not face. I had become their nightmare, an unsettling reminder of the consequences of disbelief. The world had shifted, and so too had the nature of our bond. It was no longer one of love and trust, but a haunting awareness of the darkness that resides within us all.